All right, welcome everybody to another guitar showcase right here on the Joe Wentz Project TV YouTube channel. Thank you for being here. If you're right here in the live chat, thank you for being here. If you're watching on the replay, thank you again very much, man. I really appreciate that a lot. Today's guitar, man, this was my main axe when I was in the bands that I was in back in the days. This is a beautiful Fender Telecaster. I don't know. I'm not sure of this, what you would call this color. It's kind of a light blue. I can't remember the proper name for the color. And this is a crazy story with this guitar. I did put have a Seymour Duncan hot rails put in the bridge in by my old guitar tech. And this is a 2008. Don't know if I said that already. If I did, I'm sorry. This guitar was always so reliable. I mean, I would have this and another guitar, Floyd Rose guitar, usually a Wolfgang Special. It was a Peavey Wolfgang Special at the time. I don't have it anymore. I sold it to a friend of mine named Dion years ago. He bought it. I didn't want to sell it, but, you know, another story for another time. And this guitar here, like I said, I would always use it because playing with the Floyd Rose, I always enjoy that. I love doing that, as you know, if you watch this channel. But there's always that little fear in the back of your mind. If you're playing and a string breaks, it's over. Unless you're playing a non-floating Floyd, like a EVH Wolfgang Special or something. But still, it kind of, you know, it's like, oh God, that's always a guitar player's biggest fear, and it's the string breaking. And these strings here, man, I can see we're starting to oxidize. These strings have been on here for a long time. This guitar has been in its case. I've not pulled this guitar out of the case for probably, I'm going to say, I know over a year, and it still plays fantastically, man. I mean, I would show up to a rehearsal and all that stuff, and this would be my main guitar. Now you know why it's always been my main axe, man. It's my #1 favorite guitar for playing live. It's always held up. It's always done really well, and I've taken great care of it too. You know. So let's get into the backstory of this guitar real quick. This is funny. 2008. It's getting around the holidays. Let me back up. Before that, it was probably around the end of summer, and my wife and I went to a music store in another town over here across the way. That store, I don't believe it's still there. I can't remember. Anyway, it was a small little locally owned shop. Great little store. It was really small, but it was great. And they sold, you know, guitars, drums, and little keyboards, and the music books and strings and accessories, just like a regular music store, right? It's really, really small. And so we walked in there, and I saw this hanging up on one of the hangers, wall hangers. I said, God, oh, look at that Fender, man, that Fender Tele, it is beautiful. And I plugged it up to a Fender amp and played it, and it was... I remember that's what I played. The first thing, that's about the only thing I can halfway pick finger pick or whatever, chicken picking or whatever. That's about the only thing I can half-ass do. So I played that, and just, just the feel of it, I was like, oh my God, this thing is phenomenal. The neck is really slim. It's almost like a Wolfgang Special neck. It's just a tad wider right here. I mean, it's so close though. So I played it for a while, and my wife's like, okay, we got to go. And so the holidays get around, and she didn't tell me this story till like a year and a half later after it happened, but it's funny nonetheless. So she goes and puts this on layaway. She put, I think it was $100 down or $150 down, something like that. And this guitar was like $550, and so she put the deposit down. It was like $100, $150, something like that. And so time goes by, and it's getting closer to the holidays. Well, it's time to pick up the layaway, and she goes into the store, and she has her receipt, and she was going to make a payment. And the band working behind the counter mistaken something, and he thought that it was paid. So he went to the back. He goes, oh, and he goes, I'll be right back. And he goes and he gets the guitar from out of the back, and he hands it to her. And my wife is like, kind of, dumbfounded. And she goes, well, I'd like to have a case. He goes, don't worry, I'll throw a case in. And it's a nice case. He went and got a case, put this guitar in it, gave it to her, and said, all right, ma'am, thank you for your business. He thought it was paid for. He didn't know that she was coming there to make a payment, and he handed it to her. He said, I'll take it out to your car for you, and he'll have a good day. And he walked back inside, and she was like, okay, thanks. $550 guitar for, $150, man. So, Christmas came around, and of course it was wrapped up in the case, and, you know what that is when you look at it. And it was like, oh, is that a guitar, But I wasn't expecting this guitar. I wasn't expecting that. But, yeah, I got it for Christmas that year. And she didn't tell me the story till, like I said, a lot later. And I couldn't help but laugh. I was like, oh, man. So, it is what it is. But so that's how I got the guitar. And, man, these strings have had it. Like I said, you can tell they've been on a long time. It needs to be changed bad. One's probably going to break during the filming of this right here on this premiere. But it wouldn't be no big deal. I don't know if I have any. Do I have any strings? Like I said, if you watch the... what guitar was it? What was it I played on a couple of videos back, and I put the brand new strings? Oh, the OLP. The purple OLP. Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah. I think that was my last set, I believe. I don't know. I don't know if I have another. I use the Dario and the EVH strings is what I use. Gauge 9 to 42. I'm old school, man. So the other story with this guitar is in 2009. I was at a Walmart delivering milk for my job. Again, this is in 2009. So, wow, this is, 10 years ago. Holy smokes. And I was waiting to go in there and deliver. I was waiting to back up to a dock. There was a truck already there, so I was waiting for him to get done and leave so I could back into the dock and go inside and unload the product. Well, I was sitting there. I was listening to the local radio station. It was like a morning show. And they played modern rock and all this stuff. Anyway, so I'm sitting there just listening, waiting for my turn to unload the product in the store. And they say we're going to have a contest, and we're going to put a band together for this radio station. And if you're interested, here is the number you need to call. And I was like, they're putting a band together? And I said, man, that's pretty cool. So I thought about it for a couple of days, and I said, man, I'd like to audition for that. I don't know if I'd have time to do it, but auditioning would be fun, because you'd have to go to the radio station. And so I've never done anything like that. Not that it's a real big deal, but for somebody like me, I thought it was cool. So I thought about it for a day or two, and the first musicians, they were auditioning. I think first they auditioned a singer, and they picked who they wanted. The next was a bass player. They picked who they wanted. Then it was a drummer. Then it come for the guitar players. And I was listening, when it got closer, I was listening, and I was like, let me hear what this person sounds like. And there were some good ones, man. And then there was a couple where you were like, man, why was that person even there? I mean, not to be a smart ass, but it was just like, maybe they just wanted to be on the radio. That's what I was wanting to do too. So, whatever. So I called, and at that time, I remember the DJs, or there was 4 people on the morning show, and for some reason they all gave out their personal cell phone numbers, and I heard it, and I wrote it down real quick. I was like, ooh. So I called one of them, and they answered. This was like the next day, and I said, hey man, my name's Joe Wentz, and I listened to your show, and I heard you're auditioning guitar players. I'd like to audition. And he said, okay, no problem, man. And he said, we're going to get you lined up for, it was like a Wednesday or a Thursday, something. I said, cool, man, appreciate it. And he said, do you know where we're located? I said, yeah. He said, I talked to him like 2 more times before I went there. So I told my wife about it. I told my boss man, I said, I ain't going to be at work Wednesday. I got to audition for something on the radio. I said, if you don't believe me, just tune in, and I should be on that morning show, hopefully. And he's like, okay. He could care less, man, But to me, it was a pretty big deal. I mean, I was excited. So I called the guy, like I said, a couple more times before the date got there, and he said, when you get to the parking lot, we're going to send so-and-so down there to help you if you have any equipment to bring up. And I said, yeah, that'd be great. I had a hand truck to put my amp on, which I don't have that amp anymore. I gave it to my son, but it was a big old school PV combo amp, and I had a floor guitar effects processor that sat on the floor with the different pedals you hit on your foot. I can't remember what it was. Oh man, what was it? He's got that too. And anyway, I had that, the amp. And this guitar, this is the guitar that went to the radio station, So I get there, and the guy comes down, and he's outside smoking a cigarette. And he walks up. He sees, at that time I had a Ford Ranger, had the stuff in the back. It was a cloudy day, but thank God it wasn't raining, but it was really overcast. And I was like, man, if it rains, oh my God. But it never did, thank God. So he walks over there, and we shake hands, and I said, hey, man, how you doing? He goes, hey. He goes, what do you need help with? I said, I'm going to put this amp on the hand truck, and if you can just roll it, I'll get the guitar case, and I had a bag with, all of my stuff in it, cables and pedals and or the floor effects thing. So we walk into the radio station, and you see the front desk, and you see all these pictures on the wall of all the DJs that work there, and it's like, man, this is wild, Again, never done nothing like that. And then we walk through another door, and he has to take like this card and swipes it so you can get in. And then we get to the elevator, and we get in an elevator, and he hits the whatever, I don't know, 3rd or 4th floor. We go up, we get off the elevator, and we walk down this hallway, and you just see different rooms with microphones and all the mixing consoles for the different radio shows that they have. I was like, man, this is killer, man. I've never seen anything like it except for on TV, And we walk into this one room, and he goes, when we walk in, just be quiet because they're on the air. I said, okay, man, no problem. And we walk in, and they're talking, they're doing their thing, and they were like in the middle of doing traffic and weather or something. It was crazy. And he walks in, and he sets my stuff over here, and he looks at me and goes, you can start. He's like whispering, you can start setting up. And they went to a commercial break, and they took their headphones off, and I shook their hands. They was all really nice, man. And the guy goes, hey Joe, it's nice to meet you. This is another DJ. He said, it's nice to meet you, man, but you got 2 minutes. And I said, okay. I thought to myself, 2 minutes, holy shit. I had to hook up all my stuff, and and I just put new strings on this guitar the night before, which I don't know if that was smart or not, but so I'm sitting there frantically trying to hook all my stuff up, and he's counting down. That guy's going 30, 29, 28. And then he shut up for a minute. And then he came back. He goes, 15, 14. He's counting down. He's looking at me. He goes, here we go. Because when we come back on the air, we're going to be live and we're going to introduce you, you know. I was like, damn, you know. And so, and they count, you know, 3, 2, they go like that, you know. And I was like, oh. And had a microphone and some headphones were hanging over here. I didn't know I was supposed to wear them. I never done nothing like that. And I just turned the power on my amp and I went strummed it, but I didn't have the volume up because I didn't want to, you know. So, and when I did, that's a G chord, but when I did, the low E string was down because I put strings on the night before and they hadn't stretched really good yet. And I went like that, and it was just like, you know, I was like, oh God, and you know, we was already live, and I was like, oh crap, and I leaned over real quick and tuned it, and then it got in pitch. And the guy was cool, man. One of the DJs, he goes, you know, everybody, we're back. Welcome to the Rise Guys morning show right here in Greenville, South Carolina, and we want to introduce you to today's guitarist who's auditioning. And he said, what's your name, man? And I said, my name's Joe, man. And the guy that helped me take the stuff up there, he kept harping about the guitar. He said, man, I love that guitar. And I said, oh, thanks, man. And so they asked me a couple of quick questions, you know, have I been in bands before? Blah, blah, blah. I said, yes, absolutely. And so they said, what are you going to play for? So I played just some different medleys of stuff. I can't remember what all it was now. But I did like you know, Bad Company. They was like, yeah, Bad Company, you know, and I did all kind of stuff, you know. And this was at that time, I remember we were still at war. So I wrapped up, I mean, it was like, what, 10 minutes, probably 10 minutes that I was totally on the air the total time. It wasn't a long time. And then at the very end, he said, then the guy told me, he said, we're going to ask you if there's something you like to wrap up with and you can play what you want. And I said, okay. And he said, we'll go out with that. So I played the national anthem. That's what I did. And I got done, and the guy goes, man, that was, how could you interrupt that? And then he hit the kill button, and we went off the air. And then went to commercials. It's really cool as they did that, and they take off their headphones, and they're like just shooting the shit, you know, nothing, you know, and they was like, hey, we enjoyed, thanks for coming. And I had to start breaking my stuff down right away, start getting it all back together to take it. And that guy was going to help me take it back down on the lower level on the first floor down there in the parking lot. And while I was sitting there getting all my stuff tore down, the phone lines are ringing. You can see them, the red buttons lighting up. You couldn't hear anything, but you could see them. And they still on commercial break, and the guy picks the phone and goes, Rise Guys Morning Show. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thanks for calling. Rise Guys Morning Show. Oh, really? You liked it? Awesome. Rise Guys Morning. I mean, it just kept going on, and I was like, damn, people are calling in, and they must have liked what they heard, I guess. I don't know. So that blew me away. I was really nervous. I was like, oh, my God, what have I got myself into? Because am I going to have time to do this? So, and I was still in a band too. I think we were still, I think we might have been on hiatus right then. Yeah, we were. I think that was when the drummer moved to Atlanta, or he was getting ready to move to Atlanta. It was right around that time. So I get all my stuff, take it back to my truck, and I come home. My wife and stepdaughter were here. They heard me on the radio and all that stuff. And it was cool. And so about a week goes by. That was the last day of auditions too. That was the last day. So about a week goes by, and I haven't heard anything, you know. And they're not saying nothing about it on the air either. I was like, are they going to talk about, you know, the members they picked for the radio station band? You know, you didn't hear anything. And so remember, I still had their personal phone numbers, their cell phone numbers. I still had that. And I didn't want to be that guy that calls and calls and calls and aggravates them, because I can't stand that. You know, I don't want to be bothered like that either, you know. So, like I said, about a week or so went by, and I said, I'm going to call, man. I said, I haven't called them yet. I'm going to call, and I called that one DJ that was telling me, all right, you have 2 minutes. You got to get your stuff set up. And I called him, and he was actually heading to work, because I knew they went on the air at 6 a.m., so I called like 5:45. I said, well, he's got to be there getting show prep and everything else. I said, there's no way I'm waking him up. So I called him, and he's like, hey, Joe, how you doing? I said, pretty good, man. I said, I don't mean to bother you. I said, I was just wondering, what were the final results of the contest for the radio station band? I said, I haven't heard y'all say anything else about it. And he said, yeah. He said, well, there's good news and bad news, and that's what you don't want to hear. He said, the good news is you got the gig. We picked you and to be the guitar player. And I was like, oh, really? But, you know, the bad news hadn't hit yet. And I said, oh, that's awesome. He goes, yeah, but we ran into some legal issues, and so we couldn't fulfill the commitment of putting the band together. And that's all he said. And I said, oh, okay. He said, yeah, there's a lot of red tape there. He goes, I can't really go into that. But, you know, we picked you. He said, we were excited, man. Everybody liked you. And I was like, man, that's awesome. You know, that's what he said, you know. So that's the story of how this guitar was at the radio station, you know, and true story. But nothing ever developed from it. And, you know, there's a reason for everything. But it was a fun experience nonetheless. I mean, that was probably the only time I'll ever be at a radio station in my life. Not that radio was popular like it once was, but again, this was 10 years ago, so it still was doing pretty good in the area, I would think. I mean, it's still, I'm sure it still is now. I just don't listen to radio anymore. I listen to you know, YouTube and stuff like that. You know, I haven't listened to regular radio in forever. I used to have Sirius XM, and you know, you can sign up for the free trial, right? I don't know how it is now, but you put your email in. They might have fixed it now where it's not this easy anymore. But I would create an account, put an email in there, and then I'd get SiriusXM for 30 days, and I would download the SiriusXM app on my phone, and I'd plug the aux cord up into the stereo in the tractor trailer, and I'd listen to Howard Stern or something, you know. And then when 30 days was up, it said your free trial is over. I'd make another account with another email, and I'd get it again. I did that for like 4 to 6 months. It was a long time. I just kept making up bogus emails, you know. And so I had it for like I said, 4 to 6 months, Sirius XM, and I got tired of that. I was like, oh God, there's just, you know, it's just like with cable or anything else. You pay all this money for all these channels, and after a little bit, there's nothing to watch, you know. So YouTube is the thing for me. YouTube is where it's at for me. I love that. You can watch whatever you want, old shows, listen to music, whatever. So anyway, that's my story for this guitar. Big shout out to my wife for getting me this guitar for $150. And all right, let's go for station identification. We got 2 songs coming, so you can hear what this guitar sounds like, and it's kind of a diverse thing. I go a certain way on this song coming up here. I love this guitar player. I've actually seen him in concert once. I took my wife to see him. She's a huge fan of him. He's a country artist. He's the only one I'll listen to as far as country goes. He's an amazing guitar player, and I love his music because he combines like classic rock with the country realm, and very talented, very talented. You'll see and hear one of his songs next, and then there'll be another one after that, and then we'll call it. So thank you for being here. Look in the links below if you like a t-shirt. This is the baseball style t-shirt. We got t-shirts, hoodies. If you like to grill out, we got the long aprons you can wear. You know, I need to get one of those. Those are cool. all kind of stuff, man. Plenty of stuff. Social media, all kind of things there in the description, and you'll see other great guitar channels to check out as well. Check those guys out. Subscribe to them. If you like what you see here, please give this video a thumbs up. It shows me that you like what I'm doing, and it keeps you in the know, right? Subscribe as well. And okay, that's it. I've rambled on long enough. I hope everybody has a great Friday, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
There's a new wind blowing like I've never known. I'm breathing deeper than I've ever done, and it sure feels good to finally feel the way I do. I wanna love somebody like you. I'm letting go of all my lonely yesterdays. I've forgiven myself for the mistakes I made. Now there's just one thing, the only thing I wanna do. I wanna love somebody like you. Yeah, I wanna feel the sunshine shining down on me and you. When you put your arms around me, let me know there's nothing in this world I can't do. I used to run in circles going nowhere fast. I take one step forward and 2 steps back. Couldn't walk straight